uncommon flavors of Europe. From the mountains and pastures of Europe come Asiago PDO, Pecorino Romano PDO, and Spec Alto Adige PGI. 2 cheeses and a ham with traditional places of origin. Parmigiano Reggiano. 2 words, 3 natural ingredients, countless generations of Italian cheesemakers, 900 years of experience. Parmigiano Reggiano, the only Parmesan.
Today, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, to cook with the king of seafood, Chef Jasper White. He's visiting his friends at Trimark Kitchens, a great place for great products for the kitchen and the table. Jasper's invited me to help him prepare some of his favorite seafood recipes. Que fortunato! Jasper, you know, I don't think that a lot of people like mussels. And I want you to tell me, what's the difference between these mussels, wild mussels?
Well, they basically feed the same, but when you have wild mussels, that means you usually went and got them yourself.
Oh.
So they're very, very fresh. And
Okay.
other than that, it's about the same. And we're going to start with some white wine.
All right. Can we use any good white wine?
Good dry white wine.
Yes. All right. And we don't need a lot of white wine, right?
No,
Just
we don't.
enough to kind of cover the bottom of the pan. Okay. How many
Very
mussels
little.
is this?
That's about 1.5 pounds. This
Okay.
is we're gonna cook 1/2 pound of pasta, and this will serve about 4 people.
Okay.
As a real pasta course.
Okay. What should I do?
Okay, if you want to chop a couple cloves of garlic for me, I'm going to start cutting the leeks.
Okay.
And the leeks very often will have dirt in them, but
Yes.
not always.
Yes.
So what I'm doing with the leeks is I'm going to cut them, take the tough outer parts away.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cut them so they look like the fettuccine. So about
neat.
the same width as the
Okay.
fettuccine.
Okay.
I love, you know, this just requires 1 small leek. I love the green part of the leek. I think it's...
I use that too. I use it for soups and stews and...
And the tough outer part of the leek, this part here,
Yeah.
you save that for, chicken broth
Yeah,
or whatever, for stock.
You can julienne it and put it in soups and stews. It's
Yeah.
really good.
I'm going to grab a little parsley. That's enough
right, you want
leeks
a little
for our
parsley?
dish. Yeah. And
Okay.
I have a little bit of fresh mint there.
You want
too.
this already? I'll chop that up for you. Fresh mint. And we should say that, you know, when you're cooking any kind of dish, I don't care if it's seafood or fish, you should always start with fresh herbs, because fresh herbs make the difference, I think.
They do.
Dried herbs, you know, they lost a lot of their oils.
Or the herbs that are good, you know, dried like oregano and sage.
Yeah.
They can overpower seafood. So,
Yes, so you
these
want
are what
some-
the French call fine herbs: mint, parsley, chervil. Those are the herbs that work best.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I think we
should
can
we
check
check
on the
those
mussels
mussels?
right now. And they're open, so we can turn it off.
All right. So you want some...
So the mussels are fully cooked,
Yeah.
and you know, they'll seem quite a bit smaller. So we're going to shuck almost all of them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to find 6 pretty ones, you know, where the
Okay.
shells are nice and black.
Okay. But they're beautiful. We should tell people they really have a nice flavor, you know, because I think a lot...
while you're doing that, I think I'll start the sauce.
A
if
lot of
that's
people
okay.
shy away from mussels because they think they have a chewy texture, right?
Oh, they're so
but they're so
they're mildly
delicious.
flavored, and they're just gorgeous.
And they're great with a white wine sauce on
I'm
them,
gonna
or
start
even
with-
in pasta.
I'm going to start with a little olive oil and garlic just to extract the flavor.
Okay.
And, I like to start the garlic first,
Okay.
and I'm not trying to do anything, just wait to get all that flavor so it goes into the oil.
You don't want it to brown, in other words. You don't want the
it
garlic
could start
to
to
brown.
lightly brown, but I definitely don't want it to be dark brown.
Okay.
So, but I know the flavor's out, and the garlic, it won't have any raw garlic flavor. So, okay, so I put the leeks in,
Yeah.
and they're starting to soften.
Okay.
And now I'm going to add cherry tomatoes, which, by the way, these are from my garden.
Wow.
I grew these.
Beautiful.
They're little orange
Yeah.
and red, and they're very flavorful.
Very sweet. And you leave them whole like that?
I do, because they're tiny
down.
ones. If they're
Yeah.
small, you might cut them in half, but these
Yeah.
are nice.
Yeah.
And if you're making this recipe at another time of year, You could use sun-dried tomatoes.
Yes.
Now I'm also going to add a generous pinch of saffron.
Saffron, which is an expensive spice.
So that cooking the saffron in the oil,
Yeah.
it expands the flavor, but now adding liquid will expand the color of it.
Okay, so we're
And
adding...
I wanted to get the tomatoes hot.
Yeah.
So this is the broth that we strained.
Yeah.
You know, we strained through a strainer.
Yeah.
And I'm just adding, this is not a real, you know, this is not pasta soaked in sauce.
Right.
So not very much, but really every bite should have the sauce.
Exactly.
And every shape should be perfect for the sauce that it's being served with.
And I always say, if you see pasta in the bottom of the bowl, you've done it wrong, because there shouldn't be a puddle of sauce left in the bowl. It should be coating the pasta just enough. When do we add the mint and parsley?
We're going to add that at the end with a little butter, so olive oil and butter.
All right, so we're ready to cook the pasta.
Yeah,
this is a really quick sauce.
Drain the pasta well. Add it right to the pot.
Beautiful. Look at those noodles. Yeah.
And the mussels will go in now because they're fully cooked and they're still at room temp, so we don't want to overcook them.
Right, otherwise they'd be rubbery.
They go in late.
Yeah.
And we'll just mix this around a little bit and let it absorb some of the juice.
Isn't it pretty? And look at what the saffron's doing
see
to
how
the pasta.
It colors the pasta.
Really beautiful.
And let's see now.
Mint and parsley.
Mint optional, but I love it.
I do too. Yeah,
so
put it in.
A little fresh mint.
Okay. Parsley.
Freshly chopped parsley. And maybe a little more black pepper. And then salt.
Yep.
I always taste first, because the mussels, they can really vary depending on where they're grown.
Right.
And sometimes the broth will be very salty and sometimes it won't be salty enough.
Boy, that looks terrific. Wow.
And then the last thing we're going to do
Butter.
is put a little butter, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of salt in here.
Okay. Right there. And no cheese, right?
No cheese.
No cheese, because Italians do not like cheese on their fish dishes. They feel that the cheese competes with the flavor of fresh fish and seafood. So you would not ask for cheese if you were having this dish in Italy.
And these are still warm, but I'm going to put those on the side. And now,
gorgeous.
Now we're going to plate this dish.
Okay. Wow.
And you can see when you look at the pan, you see how there's no sauce left over.
Yeah.
It's
perfect.
It's just
wow. Is this ever gorgeous? I mean, now you know why people love Italian food.
Italian everything.
Italian everything. That is absolutely beautiful.
And then make sure you show the mussels on top.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, get my fork. That is gorgeous.
And the leeks, so you have some beautiful flavors there.
Oh, Lord.
And you just want to make sure you see all the ingredients.
Absolutely perfect. So what are you going to do with this fennel?
Well, we're gonna make a main dish of almond and lemon crusted fish, and we're gonna make a slaw, so like an Italian coleslaw, let's say.
Okay. So
whenever you eat fried fish, you need to have acidity and something to offset it. Otherwise,
this is a good idea.
So if you could help me, I just want to roughly chop a few of these fronds, which will go in the slaw. So if you could kind of pick them off and a few tablespoons of that. I'll push that out of the way.
I usually use this for soup.
Fennel, so a lot of people, they throw out this outer part of the fennel because it's tough.
Yep.
But, you know, if you go to the market, you pay a lot of money for fennel.
You do,
And there's nothing wrong with it. But the outer part is tough. So all I do is I shave off the outer part.
Right.
And I don't use it.
Right.
And now I'm going to cut the fennel in half, and then I'm going to cut out the core like this.
Yeah. Now, you know, Italians call this finocchio. This is finocchio.
Yeah, finocchio.
And you know, this is a novel idea, making it into a slaw, because you know what Italians normally would do with this? They just, you know, would eat it after they would have a main meal. It's like a digestivo.
It's delicious with just a little salt on it.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people shy away from it because they don't like that licorice flavored taste.
Which I love.
Which I do too, and they're missing an awful lot because it's got a nice sweet flavor.
And I take the mandolin, you saw that I cut the center out.
Yes.
And I just shave this.
Now, what if you didn't have a mandolin? You're going to do this by hand,
thinly sliced. You do it with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just thinly slice it.
Yeah.
And would you take a little of that fennel seed and chop it for me too?
Sure.
Just give it a little extra burst of flavor.
Okay, let me move this over.
I'm just going to adjust this.
Okay.
One more
so
time.
Fennel seeds. Yes, this is really nice because I find that the thinner you make the fennel slices, the better is the flavor.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's
more
like,
surface flavor.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
The same way as when you slice salami. Or,
right.
Or
the thinner
prosciutto.
you slice it, the better it is.
Well, here's the thing with this slaw. This is going to be a cold dish.
Yeah.
But you could warm this dish. You could serve it at room temperature. You could serve it cold, or you could serve it hot. And
that's a good idea. Yeah.
I used to make this slaw and serve it with my pan-roasted lobster.
Now I'm really getting hungry.
Okay.
Right,
a little bit of sweet onion.
Yes.
If you can get it, like a Maui onion or a Vidalia onion.
Vidalia onion, okay.
A little bit of sweet onion to go with the fennel. And it's pretty simple, straightforward.
Easy. I mean, that's what Italian regional cooking is all about. It's simple, using really fresh ingredients. Should I put this in yet or no?
You can put both of them in there.
So
and I'm going to use some green olive oil.
Franz. Here are the seeds. You can find the seeds in your grocery store, in your spice section of the store.
And
ooh, this is smelling good already.
A little bit of sugar.
Yeah, okay.
Makes it nice.
Do you want to let that marinate a little while?
Yeah, I try to usually like to make it ahead of time a little bit. At least a half hour before you're going to use it.
What else?
Will you grind some salt in there while I squeeze some lemon in? And I'm going to use the juice. That was a large head of fennel, or 2 small ones would work.
Yeah.
And the juice from 1 whole lemon.
Beautiful.
And you saw I put olive oil in there.
I did.
Fennel seed, the fennel prawns,
you know,
sweet onion.
You could use orange in this as well. Orange juice?
Yeah.
From a fresh orange? Because then you would be doing something like the Sicilian
You could. You want to see a great trick?
Yes, let me see.
Take your tongs.
Oh.
I learned this from a dishwasher. And I learned it 20 years after I started cooking.
Wow, I'm going to start doing that from now on.
And I was like,
yeah, that's better than a lemon squeezer.
It's better than anything.
Oh,
just use the backside of a tongue.
Okay, good.
You get every drop of juice out of that.
Good. That's why I love hanging out with you. Okay.
Well, you can, and it also shows that you can learn from everybody.
Right.
Did I put black pepper in here?
No, but we put salt in.
We should put a little black pepper in. So.
Let's see.
All right, so there's our fennel slaw, and that's all there is to it. And let it sit for a half hour. You can make it hours ahead.
Yes.
It'll cook down a little bit, but it is better to let it sit a little while.
And that's just going to kind of clean your palate after you eat the fish dish.
Right, and we're going to make a beautiful fish with lemon and almond flavor. Kind of reminds me of Amalfi.
Okay, all right. So we're going to set that aside and we're going to work on fish. All right, tell me about this fish dish.
Okay, so this is a very simple pan-fried fish, and it actually, we're going to do a standard breading procedure, and it could be deep-fried too if you like deep-fried fish. This is fresh halibut, and you can see how fresh it is just by, do you see the shine over the top?
The color, yeah.
That's, you know, it's hard to judge fillets. When you have whole fish, it's really easy to tell how fresh they are, because you can look at the eye, and when the eyes are clear, you know it's very fresh.
Right.
And so we have this beautiful piece of halibut, which I'm going to fry, and that's a special treat because it's not a cheap fish, but you could use striped bass, you could use all kinds of things. And I'm going to make thin slices.
Okay, and you're cutting that at an angle so they see that.
I'm cutting it a little bit of an angle.
Yeah.
And you can see I'm doing little rectangular pieces. They're about a 1/3 of an inch thick.
Yeah.
You know, you can judge, you can play with the temperature on the pan. So if it's a little thicker, if your piece is a little thicker, you would cook it a little bit slower. As long as you end up with nice thin slices of fish, you can use any fish you want. If you're a fisherman,
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this dish, because there's no competing flavors. So now we have the fish. We'll make the breading.
Okay.
And I'm going to set these here for now until we're ready to bread. And the parsley should be coarsely chopped.
Okay.
I already picked off most of the stems.
Again, we're using flat leaf Italian parsley.
Flat leaf. Yeah.
Okay. And
I mean, I'm trying to keep this dish so it just has the complement of the almond and the lemon.
And the lemon.
But it's not competing with the fish. So whatever kind of fish you like, that's what you're going to eat. There's no sauce.
Right. What I like about this dish is that you don't have to deep fry it to get a nice crispy
You don't.
piece
No,
of fish.
you don't have to deep fry it
Yeah.
at all. Okay, so I'm going to start, while you're doing that, I'm starting with some panko breadcrumbs.
Okay.
You could use any kind of breadcrumbs, but I love these, the
Yeah.
coarse texture. I'm adding the chopped parsley I just made,
Okay.
and I'm going to move this out of the way now,
Okay, because we have an assembly line
because we're
going
going
on.
to set up an assembly line.
Okay. So do you want to work on there?
No, I don't even need a
you don't
cutting
need that. Okay.
And then I have sliced almonds.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to chop them. What I do is just take my hands and just break them up a little bit.
Okay.
And see that, it saves a lot of trouble from trying to chop them with a knife.
Yes.
If you put them in a Cuisinart,
Too
in a
fine.
food processor,
You
it'll
destroy
be
the
too,
oils.
you'll destroy them. And I add that to the breadcrumb.
Okay, so that's our coating mixture.
Could you put some salt and pepper in there for me?
Yes, I can. Okay. And so the zest of one lemon?
Yeah, I use a whole lemon, and I zest it right into if I go directly into the crumbs, that it doesn't clump up.
Okay. Beautiful smells. Good and fresh. Yeah.
And then we'll also cut up a lemon
Okay.
and serve it later with a little extra lemon. And you use a microplane. You could use a cheese grater if you had to.
Yeah.
Or if you really don't have either, then you can take a peeler, potato peeler, peel the lemon, and then
Just
do it
dice
real
up a little
fine.
bit, Yeah.
Don't forget there's always a lot on the back.
The underside, yeah.
All right, and so we'll add all that lemon.
I find that this is a really handy tool in the kitchen.
It's a great tool. It's
Okay.
it's great for nutmeg. It's great for all kinds of.
Chocolate, oranges.
Chocolate, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we mix, and we have the lemon
Yeah.
and parsley, almonds, bread, salt, pepper.
Okay. We're good to go.
We are good to go.
Okay.
Now I'm going to just put this in a pan so I have a little more room
Right. To maneuver.
to maneuver.
I'll take that.
And I'm also going to, we have our pieces of halibut here. And I'm just going to season one side of it,
Okay.
just to be safe that I got enough salt and pepper. Because it's such a simple dish, you don't want to, don't want to not have enough.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so I could start heating up the pan.
Okay. What are we using for fat? Olive
We're-
oil?
No, you
Okay.
could use olive oil, but then it's going to taste like olive oil.
Right, so
and
you
I'm
don't want
trying to
anything
keep
heavy.
the fish. So I'm using grapeseed, which is one of my favorite oils
Okay.
to cook with, because it has such a high burning point that I can actually add a little butter, and I can have a little bit of butter flavor
Okay.
without
And
burning the
If
fish.
you didn't have grapeseed oil, you could use vegetable oil,
Canola
sunflower
oil, but I
Okay.
probably wouldn't put the butter in at
Yeah,
that point.
okay. So, can I
So-
do one?
You can, but I just want to show you, important when you're breading is that you keep one hand dry, okay? So you only do the wash with your left hand, and then,
Oh, I'm using my right.
or the right, but if you were going, if you're left-handed, you would do
Yeah.
you would do it with your right, and then into the crumbs, and see, I keep this hand dry.
Right, because you have to answer the phone.
Well, no, because I have to do, if I do that,
Right, it's all over.
if I get it on this hand, then it's
Yeah.
all going to stick to my fingers.
Right,
All right, so there's our
okay.
beautiful almond crust, and we'll push that in a
Beautiful,
little
yeah. That looks great.
bit. Let's do
Okay.
2 more pieces.
Okay, so left hand. Yeah.
Okay,
Egg wash. You want another one?
one more.
Okay. Okay. This is so simple.
Yeah.
And
isn't that what we love?
yes.
Because this dish is about the fish.
Yes.
And if you have great fish, you're going to love this dish. And if you have fish that's not great, the dish isn't going to be great.
All right, that
so
looks
like everything,
wonderful.
the food is all about the ingredients.
Okay, here, you want to wipe your hands?
I do.
Yeah. So now we got to get the oil hot.
We do. Okay, so we have our pan hot, and I'm pouring in the grapeseed oil.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a little extra butter in for flavor. And again, the grapeseed oil protects that. Okay. And I can see with the butter how hot the pan is.
Yeah.
And I want to wait till it gets a little hotter than this.
You could always
while it's
add
warming.
a little crumb in there to check,
That's
right?
a great idea.
Yeah.
And so as soon as this butter is melted, we'll put it in and see.
Yeah. I always find that people are in a hurry to turn. Do you know what I mean? When they're browning meat, they're always in a hurry. I always wait to see if it's really starting to brown right on the edges.
On the edge?
Yes. Yeah. But I know you have some tricks about this.
Oh, no. That's exactly what I do. Because it develops the flavor as it cooks. And this, because it's fried, you want it to be crispy.
Yes.
And you want to get all that almond, the toasted almond flavor in. And so...
All right, so we have to wait until we see a nice little brown edge occurring on that before we can turn it. That looks great. Beautiful color.
Yeah, and the fish
crispy, crunchy.
Crispy, crunchy, almondy, lemony.
And we were saying you could do this with chicken, right?
It'd be fabulous. Yeah, you can do chicken cutlets, veal.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
And you could add cheese to the mixture if you're doing it with meat.
If you're doing it with meat, not with fish.
Or poultry, but not with fish.
Yeah.
And then here, I like this side better. So pick out the side that looks the best.
That's my
And now
piece
we're
right
all
there.
set, and it's ready to plate.
Okay, so let me move this out of the way.
I'm just going to cut a few lemon wedges, too.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So
we have our fennel slaw.
Is that going in the center?
It is.
There you go.
Toss it up one more time. See how it's wilted a bit after time?
Now it should really have
and now
developed
it'll
flavor.
have yes, exactly. And we'll put that slaw right in the center.
Beautiful.
And it's nice because the dish is not like colorful like the last dish we did. So it's nice to have a colorful plate to use it with. And then we will put the 4 pieces of fish around here. Do a little pattern like. Of course, it'll look different depending on which fish you use. And then put a little lemon in between each one.
Lemon slices here.
And then we saved a little of the fennel frond.
Yeah, fennel fronds. Oh. Wow.
One more.
Yep. And this is why Jasper White is the king of fish, seafood, and anything else that's in the ocean. Beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, Jasper, this dish just sings to me of the beauty of the look of Italy and the taste of Italy and everything Italian about it. So it's just a bright-looking dish. You've never disappointed me.
Thank
you. Let's recap what you did.
Okay, we steamed mussels in white wine, made a very little white wine, just enough to steam the mussels, so we have a very concentrated broth. And then I sautéed garlic and leeks. I added cherry tomatoes and saffron, and sautéed those a little bit, added the broth from the mussels.
Beautiful, and it's easy to do. Anyone could do that.
Of course.
And then
And anyone could do this either.
And tell us what you did here.
I took fresh halibut, but you can use any fish, either slice it thin or use a fish that's naturally thin, like trout or flounder. We pan-fried it in a little grapeseed oil mixed with butter. You can fry it in olive oil if you want that flavor, but I recommend that you keep the flavor neutral so you can really taste the clean flavor of the fish. And grapeseed oil is a great oil to cook with because you could add a little bit of butter to it. And then we served it with a fennel slaw, very simple, and chopped fennel seeds.
All right, 2 clever, clever dishes. Jasper, you still are the king of fish and seafood. Thanks for coming to my kitchen. And until I see you Nella Cucina again, I'm Marianne Esposito.
And I'm Jasper White.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Marianne shares her lifelong food adventures in Italy with you. Over 160 authentic regional recipes, plus photographs and personal stories that bring them to life. This cookbook is available wherever books are sold and on the web. Learn more about the culture and cuisine of Italy's many regions and prepare many of their unique recipes by visiting Marianne at her website, ciaoitalia.com. Funding for Ciao Italia was made possible by Uncommon Flavors of Europe. From the mountains and pastures of Europe come Asiago PDO, Pecorino Romano PDO, and Spec Alto Adige PGI. 2 cheeses and a ham with traditional places of origin. Parmigiano Reggiano. 2 words, 3 natural ingredients, countless generations of Italian cheesemakers, 900 years of experience. Parmigiano Reggiano, the only Parmesan.
Hello, I'm Lydia Bastianich, and join me for a brand new season of Lydia's Kitchen right here on public television. I want to taste it, assaggiare. I'll continue to bring you authentic Italian recipes from my home and the restaurants.
Hello.
And of course, I'll get my family in the kitchen to cook with us. And I'll be bringing you back to Italy with me. Tutti a tavola a mangiare. Venite.
Next on KLCS. Tonight on KLCS.
So you guys won't be paying for the donuts Dan's eating?
Come on, Tara. We're rich, but we're not donut rich.
Sunday at 9 on KLCS.
Presented by Austin Film Festival, a look inside the creative process from today's leading writers and directors.
Sunday at 9:30 on KLCS.
In the wake of the Vietnam War, Vietnamese refugees were relocated to the Texas Gulf Coast. Language and cultural barriers kept them apart from their new neighbors, and disputes over fishing had dire consequences.
We were trying to stop any violence before it happened.
Sea Drift on Real South.
Sunday at 10 on KLCS.
urban Southern whites with Puerto Ricans and blacks.
Housing issues, police brutality, that's what we could all agree on, was for those neighborhoods to come together.
That was the beauty of it. The world was on fire and we were part of that flame.
We're going to fight racism, not from racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity.
It's the Rainbow Coalition, but it didn't matter what color you wore this with pride.
The first Rainbow Coalition.
Sunday at 11 on KLCS.
Buongiorno, I'm Lydia Bastianich, and teaching you about Italian food has always been my passion. I want to taste it, assaggiare. It's all about cooking together, hello, as I recreate childhood memories good to the last drop. Restaurant classics and new family favorites. Isn't that everybody's favorite part? Whatever you're baking, lick the spoon. Tutti a tavola a mangiare. Venite.
Funding provided by...
At Cento Fine Foods, we're dedicated to preserving the culinary heritage of authentic Italian foods by offering over 100 specialty Italian products for the American kitchen. Cento, trust your family with our family.
Grana Padano. Authentic. Italian. Rich in tradition, yet contemporary.
For over 140 years, a Riccio traditional handcrafted provolone made in Italy.
The Walker. Chocolate, light wafer, toasted hazelnut, the Walker.
Provegnati Gran Biscotto, a true Italian ham. Crudo o cotto, Gran Biscotto.
And by
Italy has one of the largest selection of desserts, and today we're gonna make some of those great sweet hits. The sweetest hits. A variation of the classic Italian spoon dessert. Creamy ricotta, blueberries, crunchy almonds, and cake. All create a sweet balance of flavors and textures. Another Italian sweet staple that can be adapted to fit any occasion. This fluffy whipped custard boasts a chocolate twist. This butter cookie is a cornerstone to any Italian dessert platter.